ladies and gentlemen. Formula One is back. We are back. How are we all doing? Why is the game set to iRacing? The music should be lower. Fem's my producer at the moment. Lower the music. How about now? Why is the game set to iRacing? I don't know. Why is the game set to iRacing? That's not what I want. Although you can see that anyway, so that's fine. Let's pop that there. Let's go to Twitch, which is on my other one. And let's fix that for you. It should be on sports. That's what it should be on. But it keeps on changing it. I don't know why. I don't know why it's just stuck to iRacing. But hey ho, here we go. And that should be fixed. Welcome everyone in the chat. I hope you are all doing well. I'm just trying to get my chats up at the moment so I can see all of you beautiful, lovely people. Welcome in. We've got Lorenzo, we've got Doctor, we've got Blasic, we've got Akaz, of course, Fem, my producer, sat in the background. Welcome in as well to Alfium, Swifty. Thank you very much, SJ, for the gifted sub. No, not a gifted sub this time. A sub for yourself. Thank you very much, SJ. You absolute legend. Was it good? Yes. Is it worth 3 digits? No. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that, Fabio? What do you mean by it's not worth? Was it worth 3 digits? Welcome in, Lovino as well. Let me get ticket prices. Okay, fair enough. I don't know. Do you know what? I don't know. As someone who was there, and we're going to talk about it a lot. We're going to talk about it a lot today. As someone who was there, I would say that, do you know what? Potentially it was worth 3 digits. I bought myself a ticket. I didn't actually use that ticket that I bought for myself in the end. I was very lucky to have a +1 from Fem, who is, you know, as always, bang on about working for the Red Bull Junior team and Red Bull Rookie. So she got an invite through work, had a +1. I was very lucky to get that +1. So I didn't end up using my ticket, was able to give that to somebody else or sell it on to somebody else to give them a chance to go. But you know what? If I hadn't have gone with them and only had the ticket that I bought, I still would have been very glad to have paid the money that I did to go. I thought it was very, very good. I wanted to know from all of you that are watching at home, what did you all think of it? What were your opinions? What were your thoughts of the event? Because I was there. I think being there is different. Being at an event is always going to be different compared to how it would come across from watching it on YouTube, like I think a lot of you did. But someone who'd never really lived F1 up close and would be a dream to see the cars and drivers live. Yeah, I think it was a really, really cool experience. For F175 banned, resold tickets. So you couldn't sell them through the site, but you could transfer your tickets. So it was just personal. The person I sold it to DM'd me, got in contact with me. They sent me over the money. I sent them over the ticket. Nice exchange. I basically just got my money back. I didn't try and sell it for any more. I just got the money that I paid because I was already going. So better that goes to somebody else than just be an empty, non-used ticket. Felt like it was F1 Grammys. It was fun. Do you think it would be worth it for someone living abroad? Obviously depends on what you make out of it, because obviously you've got to pay for flights, for accommodation. I think it's a really, really fun event. The same as if you were going to a concert, but for Formula 1. I think Fem, we had very similar opinions on it. It felt like the Grammys, but for F1, and I thought it was really enjoyable. We're going to get into it. We're going to really deep dive into the whole event, into the liveries, into the cars, and we're going to talk about it, opinions. I'm also over in my Discord, over in the streaming channel at the moment. So if any of you lot would like to give your opinions throughout this stream, feel free to jump into the lounge over on my Discord, !Discord if you're over on Twitch. If you're on YouTube, it'll be in the description, so you can get yourself in the Discord there. Jump in. I want to know from you guys opinions on certain teams' liveries, maybe their launches, what your opinion was about that, and the event as a whole. So if you want to get your opinion in there, feel free to do so. Going to be running polls throughout this. We've got one currently running at the moment over on Twitch. Rate F175 event A, B, C, D, or F. Very, very simple. Over on YouTube, because obviously it's been a while since I've streamed on YouTube, but we are back today, and we're going to be talking to all of you lot. We've got Ahmed, we've got Sab, welcome in. Cheating Line, thank you very much for the midfield member for 18 months. And we've also got Doctor coming in for 23 months as a member. Ferrari livery is shit this year, they say. Well, I'm not sure, but we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna get to it, okay? We're gonna get through all of that. Let's start things off though with the event as a whole, okay? Let's start it off by talking about the event on its own as a whole. F1 75 Live. I went into the event with absolutely no expectations whatsoever. Like, I thought that it could either be really amazing, really terrible, cringy. It could be any one of those. So I kind of went in with that attitude. I didn't want to expect anything. I wanted to go in with an open mind, see how it was, not close it off straight away and be like, this is going to be absolutely awful and atrocious and there's no need to watch it. No, I wanted to go in open-minded, and do you know what? I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was a really, really good event. The stage was cool. The venue was spectacular. Where we were sat was on the side of the stage, so we were on the driver's side, so you could see all the drivers. We weren't too far, too many rows up as well, so we could see the drivers sat at their tables in front of us. So it was really cool to be close to them. Really good to see the stage as well, so we had a really good viewing point, and very, very lucky to be sat there. But yeah, I was, thoroughly impressed. I thought Jack Whitehall going into it as well. I was like, oh, is this going to land? Is this going to be the right person for this? And you know what? I think Jack Whitehall absolutely smashed it. It was funny, it was entertaining, but he also didn't make the show about him. It was still about Formula One. It wasn't just about Jack Whitehall, and it's a Jack Whitehall, comedy show. Not at all. Jokes about F1, and I think there's a few people who didn't like this and weren't a fan of it, and I'm the complete opposite. And I think Formula One sometimes just takes themselves way too seriously. It's very corporate, it's very, suit and tie. I feel like Formula One. This was poking fun at Formula One. This was having a laugh. This was just enjoying the moment and not taking yourselves too seriously. And I thought that was absolutely brilliant. Having the drivers on the side, some of them getting roasted a little bit. And I think this is really, really good, and I think a step in the right direction. My first question to all of you lot in chat, though, what did you think of the performance from Jack Whitehall? Did some of you guys like it? Jack Whitehall is a British comedian, so I can understand if it maybe didn't land outside of a British audience. As a British person myself, I thought it was funny. I enjoyed it. But I know that, maybe it didn't land with those guys outside. Emphatic said that he was very good. YouTube made a video of all the roasts of the show. Perfect. Love that. Jack was good from Doctor. Without Jack, it would have been quite boring watching, in my opinion. Fabio laughed a lot. He was fun over on TikTok. What are you lot saying? Alfie's giving it a B. They think it was good. Swifty, thank you very much for the 21 months midfield member. Really, really appreciate you on there as well, Swifty. But yeah, I thought it was fun. I thought it was good. Fem says 10 out of 10. We were laughing a lot. We were laughing a lot together. Really, really enjoyable. But on the same side of things, we still had the great expertise of Laura Winter, Ariana Bravo, and Lawrence Barretto, who all added those that element of when it was time to talk to the drivers, they were still Formula One questions, and it wasn't just Jack Whitehall not maybe knowing too much about Formula One, asking questions where we as an audience might be like, why are you asking that? That's just a pointless question and a waste of the opportunity to that small segment that they had, because it was only 7 minutes per team. But instead of wasting that time asking mundane questions that the audience don't really want to know or already know, instead it was questions that we wanted to know and was more, to build up those storylines for the future of this season. So I think they were a great addition on the side. And of course, Alex Jakes as the narration for the whole show. Anybody who's watched X Factor, it gave me X Factor vibes when it was Alex Jakes doing the narration. And I thought that was absolutely brilliant. In terms of artists, in terms of performers, I think it could have been better. That's probably one of my downsides to the whole evening. I think the artists and the performance, it was announced maybe like the day before that it was going to be I've forgotten most of their names. Well, obviously, Take That, again, very British. Fem has a good knowledge of music from a lot of different artists. Didn't have a clue who Take That were. Had no idea. Knows of Robbie Williams. Loves Robbie Williams as like songs to sing in karaoke. But in terms of Take That, was just like, I have no idea who any of these people are. Yeah, Machine Gun Kelly, Kane, Take That, and the guy who composed the F1 theme. And I think as a first event, it was probably quite hard to get some really, really big stars involved. Maybe because they don't want to put so much money into it for a one-off event that may never ever happen again. Or maybe on the other side, bigger name artists didn't want to be a part of it if it wasn't going to be a success. I think for a first event, they're safe bets. They're safe bets as performers. I don't think they really, you know, set the stage on fire, but it also wasn't a terrible performance. But I would like to see if this is something that comes back in the future to have bigger names and maybe better performances. Because, yeah, I mean, you know, the DJ, what's his name? Brian Tyler, obviously does the Formula 1 theme tune. And I think me and Fem both expected coming into it that it was just going to be like she's put in the chat, a live performance of the F1 theme tune. But it wasn't that. It was all part of Alpine. Alpine, we're going to get onto it. We're going to talk about Alpine. I'm going to roast them a little bit, so I'm going to save that for later. But yeah, it wasn't really my cup of tea. Fem went to the toilet for Kane's performance, so didn't even watch that one. Was like, okay, cool, now I can go to the toilet. Machine Gun Kelly, I thought in terms of opening the show, it wasn't actually too bad for Machine Gun Kelly. It was sort of like a boom in your face. It was like, oh, okay, this is what we're going to be expecting. And I thought it wasn't too bad. And then with Take That ending it, you know, it was just typical Take That, I think. So not terrible, not amazing. Something I would like to see for the future, certainly, is that stepped up. Thames was the woman singing during the Aston Martin reveal. I think that was a good performance. I think we'll get to that later, but Aston Martin did really, really well. I'm just going to catch up a little bit on the chat on what you were all saying. It would have been boring without him. That was about Jack Whitehall. Just surprised F1 allowed it. Even the bit with Gordon Ramsay, the fact that they allowed it because it's definitely scripted and rehearsed. I think the stuff with Gordon Ramsay, brilliant, by the way. Glad it was said. F1 and the FIA are different. It's easy to kind of wrap them all under the same bubble, but it isn't necessarily Formula 1 that is clamping down on the swearing and stopping that. That's the FIA. That is, you know, Mohammed Ben Salim. He is the one who's leading the FIA and clamping down on the swearing. F1 at the end of the day is the entertainment, the spectacle. It's the brand. It's Liberty Media, and they are all about this. They're all about being entertaining and getting the brand out there as much as possible. The FIA is more from the sporting side of things, and the FIA also controls where we've seen the first penalty for swearing given out, which I believe was in rallying. So they also, you know, involved in that. Formula E, WEC, all these different motorsports around the world, the FIA is obviously in charge of. It was funny from the first minute. Yep, exactly. Also Gordon swearing when I watched it back because obviously I was there live. I could hear it live. And interesting little caveat for all those who weren't there live. We were 5 minutes before the rest of the world. So the stream was on a 5 minutes delay. That was because if there were any technical difficulties, they were able to be sorted, and therefore it wouldn't come across on the broadcast. So hence why there was a bleep when Gordon Ramsay swore. But weirdly, it came after. But he basically said shit, and then it bleeped after he said shit, which was quite weird. That, you know, they're on a 5 minute delay and they managed to miss the mark on the bleep. Whether that was on purpose or not, I don't know. But that was also why I heard that Haas released their livery before it came up on the broadcast. That's because obviously they would have watched it live. They would have watched it live. 5 minutes, okay, livery's revealed, post, and then not realised that the thing was 5 minutes delayed. The Netflix joke with Lando was great. 10's best performance of the night. Still surprised Machine Gun Kelly was the best for me. Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think best performance, it kind of, set up the show very, very well. Okay, Fem says she knows Take That, but the songs, no clue. Yeah, we try. I played a few. She didn't know. Blonde DJ was questionable. Flavio Briatore's face watching that was a bit comical. Seriously, old songs made for F1 like The Chain. You know, yes and no. I think there's always always a chance to go into something new and allow new performers to make it their own. But obviously, you know, the chain is so linked in now with Formula One because of BBC's broadcast of it and having that as the intro for sure. But, you know, sometimes change is good and we shouldn't always just stick to the same things all the time. But I do, yeah, I wish there were sort of like bigger names there. Did I boo at the FIA? No, I'm one, okay, I'm with my girlfriend. So we're in between Aston Martin to the left. Williams were over to the right, and I think we were like with Red Bull representatives where we were. Don't want to make a bad name for myself booing people, especially as the ones who were getting booed were members of Red Bull. It wouldn't be wise for me to stand up and start booing people. We'll get onto the booing in a bit, and I do want to know everyone's opinion on that. I'm just trying to catch up on some of the messages that I may have missed. Sauber, and they were all the same length. Sauber and Alpine, you're saying they were hella long, but every team had 7 minutes. And I looked back on the live stream and looked at the timestamps, and every team did have 7 minutes on stage. And no team, you know, massively overran or got that extra minute. They all had the 7 minutes, and they all followed it quite well. So they did a good job. When are you going to start racing? No racing today. There's not going to be a racing stream. There's going to be talk about Formula One. This is going to be something new that I'm going to be introducing across content, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, all the streams. Hello, David. Welcome in. Ethan as well over on TikTok. We've got over on YouTube. What are your opinions? Love the fans. Booed at Horner. Producer says, hey. Gaming says, one of the best moments was the booing from the FAA. Cheating line, Horner got booed. We'll get onto that in a bit as well. The booing, which we could probably actually get onto now, to be fair. Booing, what is our opinion on booing? I spoke about this a bit with Fem when we left. She didn't really like it. I'm kind of neutralized to booing. Booing doesn't really affect me. It doesn't make me go, oh yes, I love booing, but also doesn't make me go, I absolutely hate it. I'm just sort of quite immune to it because I've grown up going to football stadiums, watching football where, in all fairness, you know, their chants are a lot worse than just booing. If a player gets booed at, right, if the opposition player gets booed at in a football game, they've got off lightly, okay? There's a lot worse that gets said, especially as British football clubs. I haven't watched football outside of Europe. So Fabio, I don't know whether you've watched it in Germany or back home in Portugal either, what it's like and whether it's different. But booing, you know, booing you've got off lightly in football. So I'm immune to it, but I know that a lot of people are going to be, you know, maybe it's new to them and they don't like it. That's fair enough if that's your opinion. Thank you, by the way, Doc, for booing me. And thank you very much for the 30 months subscription as well. Welcome in. To be honest, Horner plays into it. He knew. Look, right, Red Bull put Christian Horner on stage to present the team. You're in front of British fans where Red Bull already have that sort of name because they've been dominant for so long. In recent terms, obviously McLaren have just recently taken that title off them, but they're still the team that everybody wants to be beaten. And to put Christian Horner in front and center in stage, I felt like you were just asking for it. You know, that you were just asking for it. So yeah, maybe they play up to it. But I think if you are one of those people that dislikes the booing for like Max Verstappen and Christian Horner, but you're completely fine for the booing for the FIA, you also kind of need to look at yourself and be like, right, what don't you actually like about it? Because if you're saying it's bad for this person but good for this person, surely it's got to be bad across the board. Or you're actually just a fan of that person. So say you're a Max Verstappen fan, you don't like him getting booed. That's because you're a Max Verstappen fan and you see him in a different light to those people who are booing him. So that's completely fair enough. But then if you're also going, but I hate the FIA and I'm one of the first people to be booing the FIA, then you can't say that you hate booing. You just don't like it when it happens to the driver that you support, which is completely fair enough. What's Fabio saying? Red Bull felt like it was rushed. Also, Christian is British, which is surprising. Yeah, but I think the British fans are... We're not like Italian fans where we go for teams. Obviously, you're an Italian fan, you're probably a Ferrari fan. I mean, most people are a Ferrari fan. But if you're an Italian fan, you're most definitely a Ferrari fan. Whereas British, you're more drivers fans. You know, we've had a lot of successful drivers. We've been very lucky in this country to have a lot of successful Formula One drivers. And we've currently got Lewis Hamilton. We've got Lando Norris, who, you know, finished runner-up in the championship. George Russell, who's won races for Mercedes as well. And I think, you know, 2 of those drivers have gone up against Max Verstappen. So the British media would put some more, would taint Max Verstappen's name more and try and build that rivalry and that story between the two. So that's where that kind of comes from. So yeah, booing. What do we think? We've got a poll on Twitch. Was the booing right? We've got yes is 33%, neutral opinion is 44%. I'd probably put myself in the neutral opinion as well. And we've got 22% who say no. And now it's even, yes or no. Let's be honest, the Gordon thing was a skit, a funny skit though. I think, you know, done well, and I think entertaining. Fem says, put some respect on Max Verstappen's name. The Dutch bias is coming out. We're ready for the fight again in 2025. I was really happy though with the Gordon Ramsay skit. Like, whether it was a skit or not, or it was the actual, like, it's completely right. Let the drivers be real. Let them be human. Don't need to clamp down on the swearing in the team radios. In the press conferences, yeah, you know, they shouldn't be swearing in press conferences. That's something that's always really been there anyway. But it's something that maybe finds is maybe a bit too far. If it's something that is repeated, then maybe it needs to get to that stage. But a few little warnings here or there, and just be like, look, do you mind not maybe swearing in the press conference? Yeah, fine, no problem. I'll try and keep that down to a minimum. If it's somebody who just doesn't care and will just keep on swearing, then maybe you need to look at that. But in terms of, you know, in the actual races, Sebastian Vettel, famous quote in a press conference, said that, you know, if you were to put a microphone on a football player after they've been tackled, they're not going to say nice things. They're going to probably swear and probably not look in the best light. It's exactly the same for Formula 1. If a Formula 1 driver is driving pretty much a bomb on wheels at 200 mile an hour under increasing stress and G-forces, you know, those frustration and those reactions are going to come out, and I don't think we need to clamp down on the swearing during the races. If they swear, they need to do 5 days with F1 esports drivers. That will stop them. Yeah, especially as you esports drivers aren't allowed to shower either. They will never ever go back again, Brendan. Never go back again. Those sweaty esports rooms. I mean, I've got a rig here. Fem knows how sweaty these esports rigs are. Don't give them ideas. Make them donate to charity every time they swear. It is interesting. Where does the money go? Where does the money go from the FIA? That's a conversation for another time. Where does the money go? What do they do? Caden, thank you very much for the follow over on TikTok. Welcome in. Welcome in Shrey. Welcome in Lorenzo as well. Honestly, I feel like Honor was going to say something. He was. I did. Obviously, I heard it the first time, and then I watched it back today, and I was like, I really want to know what he was going to say. What do you reckon he was going to say, chat? What do you reckon he was going to say? Swear more, lads. Exactly. Swear more. Right, let's get into the first team reveal. We're going to talk more about F1 75 Live as the event as a whole and give my rounding out thoughts at the end of this stream. But I want to go through the structure by structure, and we're going to talk about it. So we talked mainly about the actual presenting and the show and the music and all of that side of things. Now let's talk into the teams. Each team now, they got 7 minutes. 7 minutes to basically have a performance. If anybody's watched Eurovision, very similar like that. You know, they have a certain window. They've got to go and perform. They've got to build their set, their stage, or their VTs, whatever. But they've got that amount of time. And we started off with Stake, Kick, Sauber, whatever you want to call them. Brendan's team. And I want to get your opinions in the chat. So let's get a poll up and running. Across all chats if you are able to do that. If not, just the chats that you're able to put them in for those who are mods out there. I think Ethan, you're a mod, I'm not too sure, but if you can put a poll on TikTok, that'd be amazing as well. But I want to know what your opinion of the livery. I think for Sauber, the best intro for hyping up their livery. It's always difficult when you're the team that goes first because you set the expectations for what the rest of the evening is going to be. And I think if it was a boring intro... Right, I'm going to call Alpine out now. If it was Alpine that started, I think a lot of people would have turned off. I think a lot of people would have just been like, do you know what? That's enough for me. I'll just look at the liveries later when they're posted online. But I think for Sauber, they came out with a really good livery. Not livery, no, I'm going to scrap that. They came out with a really good trailer, a really good hype video, and, you know, just set the standard for what their season's about. You know, they came out very quickly with the 2 drivers saying it's not about the past, it's about the future, it's about putting the work in, it's about getting yourself back up there, it's about, you know, learning from what's gone on before and where you've been before, and then setting it up. And then the livery reveal, and at first you're like, okay, cool, they've gone with the neon green, great, I'm glad that it's there. I'm always a big advocate for color on cars. I hated the last season where we had a lot of black carbon and all the cars looked very similar. But for this, I was like, okay, we're going with the green. This is great. I'm glad for this. And then you get to the back of the car, and there's this horrible, weird gradient. And I don't know if it really comes off in the renders, because the renders, I'm looking at them now, and I've got the renders here, and we can zoom into the renders, right? We can zoom in here. This are the renders. Now, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look bad from the renders. This is good. Got the paint on the front, and then it blends in. Yes, okay, we've still got a lot of bare carbon. This is all going to be carbon. And this is where I didn't like it. Because it's bare carbon, this is a render. They've been able to make it, you know, actual pure black, like it's been painted on the back. However, in real life, they've got this matte element all along this area, and it kind of blends into a grey. And then the grey stops, and it's carbon, and it's pure black. And it just looks awful. It looks like they came out with a black car, and Shrek has absolutely sneezed all over the front. Which is a shame, because I think they had such a strong video to hype up the livery, and it came out not looking great. From the front, good. I like it. The back, from the render, it looks good. But when we look at it in real life, honestly, from someone who was there, it looks weird. And I hope they fix it. I hope they manage to blend the gradient into a proper black that works well with the carbon. But if they don't, it's going to look so odd. You've rated it as C over on Twitch. So 55% of you say that it's mid, pretty much. You've gone for the mid role. I think for me, it's the worst livery of the night, personally. I don't know, because the weight saving's very much on the back. Maybe the back of the car, obviously that's where you've got a lot of the engine components, etc. That's where they're looking to save the weight the most. And the front, they can go free reign with paint and, you know, give it that style, that paint, that identity that they have. But let's see what your opinions. I want to know what your opinions in the chat. Make sure you don't just vote. Let me know what your opinions. We've got expectation was set high by Stake. They had the best video in my opinion, but the worst livery. Couldn't agree more. I think for the first time ever, me and Fabio have agreed on something. Special liveries through the season will be better ones. You hope. You do hope. The gradient is poor. Yeah, I don't know if you've... Oh, that's Surging Sparks. That's the wrong thing. Why is that come up? I want to look at a different image here. Can I stack these? I think I can, can't I? Yeah. So let's look at it from the front. Let's look at it from the front here. And I think, again, you know, from the front, looks good. Looks good. The gradient isn't that bad, but it's just got this weird grey. I wish there was a picture of it from real life. Why does this look better than it did last night? I think you would have seen it if you watched the stream. You could definitely tell. I watched back on the stream to see whether it was obvious as it was in real life, and it was on the stream. If they have that amount of carbon, despite the minimum weight being raised, then they are in the mud. Wait for what? They only have wheel covers on the front. Oh yeah, they do. I mean, I think it might look a bit weird if they had the wheel covers on the back, because again, it's the gradient, it's the blend from the green to the black. What does it represent? Who knows what this livery is representing? Maybe the stripping off of Stake and the moving over into Audi. Maybe that's what it represents. I don't know. How is Red Bull's not the worst when there is even change? I'll get onto that later. We will go through team by team. From a design aspect, it's weird because it's like they draw a car and then they add a color at the last second. I mean, in terms of livery design, so there's a lot of things that go into it. There's sponsors that, for example, some sponsors will say, we only want our logo on this background. And maybe that's what Ferrari and HP, for example, have had, that they like, you're only allowed to have our blue logo. We will sponsor your team. You have to have the blue logo on the car. You cannot have just the white logos. So that's one thing. Also, the car has to, the livery has to still be identifiable when the car goes through changes. So, for example, if they're going to change the design of the side pods halfway through the season, you don't want to change the side pods, then the livery shape changes and doesn't fit together. For example, when they had that like S on the side last season, if they'd have changed the side pods, then it no longer made the shape of an S. That would look weird. So there's a lot of things that obviously go into it in terms of livery making, but there's teams that do a great job when it comes to making the liveries, and there's teams that do not as well of a job. And I think for this one, it has fallen short of the mark for me. It's definitely, for me, it's the worst livery on the grid for the season. Some teams will change the liveries a bit in the first few races. I think one team particular, I'm expecting potential changes, and we'll get onto that in a bit. Real Madrid has the HP logo in black, so Ferrari can definitely do the same. It depends on deals, though. Deals can always be different between football teams and F1 teams. Nothing is always black and white. Nothing's always the same. Tomo did much better with his redesign vid. I did see his redesign vid of the Ferrari, and whilst I actually really like the Ferrari, he did actually do a really good job, which is funny for Tomo, because sometimes he does a poor job. Regardless, let's get into Williams. Let's move on from Stake and let's move over to Williams. Williams, great VT. Once again, I think, highlighting the history of the team, where it's come from. Frank Williams, we all love Frank Williams. And I think that Williams has always got like a soft spot for a lot of people in their hearts, I feel like. Just quickly catching up on what TikTok said. I saw that as well. The gradient is good, but the border, the border, weird. YouTube, what are you saying? Can't do a poll here on YouTube. Okay. Just let me know in the chat, and I will read it out. It's good, but if you look closely, it's bad. Yeah. From afar, maybe that's where Stake are going to be next season. You're just going to be seeing them from afar, at the back of the grid, maybe. Hopefully not, because Hülkenberg, Bortoletto, great drivers, and it's all about, as they say, putting the hard work in, building up, and seeing what Audi are going to be doing potentially in the future. But Williams, let's get on to Williams. Williams. Great VT, as I said, showcasing the history of the team, the pedigree that Williams has in the sport. Then James Vowles, come on. Now, if you know me, I love James Vowles. James Vowles' voice I could listen to all day, every day. I could fall asleep with that man whispering in my ear. And sometimes I tell Fem to put on the voice. Then he comes out and he's leading the show. And I'm like, Williams know what's doing, right? It's very contrasting to Red Bull. Red Bull, I'm like, why are you putting Christian Horner first? He's obviously going to get booed. James Vowles, you're putting him first because he's going to get a cheer. No one wants to see Carlos Sainz. No one wants to see Alexander Albon. We want to see James Vowles. Livery is then revealed pretty much the same as last year. But hey, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. And we're going to be saying more of that over the course of this review of the evening. I think they changed slightly the blue on the rear. Let me just get some pictures up of it. One sec. I've saved all the images. So let me just find it here. Here we go. Here is Williams. Here's Williams' car. This is Williams. So I think this blue here is very similar. It's very similar on the front. And then it kind of, I don't know if it's a gradient or it's where it splits off under the side pod here, but goes into this beautiful lighter blue. And I absolutely love this color. I was a little bit disappointed that this wasn't going to be the color of the merch, for example. Of course, the Duracell sponsorship, the best sponsorship in F1. The way they've done this so well with the battery on the airbox, I think it's brilliant. I didn't notice this before though. On the wheel covers, Jackpot City Casino. So yeah, sponsored by them. I think that Williams. Do you know what? Williams know how to work a company into their car. They did it first with Duracell. The Duracell, for some people, it took ages to realize that it looks like a battery on the airbox. They did a brilliant job here. All right? And they've done here, like, wheel covers that looks like a freaking roulette wheel for a sponsor that's clearly a casino. Like, that is how you work a sponsor onto your car. And I think they've done a brilliant job. Of course, they're now Atlassian Williams Racing. And I don't know whether the blue is from the Atlassian sponsorship. That's why it's gone for a more lighter blue. But I would like to see this lighter blue over the course of the car. I'm not quite a fan of it looking front on. If I can grab a picture of it front on, which I believe is this one. Not as much of a fan. I still think it's up there in my top 5 cars of the year. I think it ranks for me 4th. Maybe because they haven't changed it too much, it's come down a little bit. I like it when cars, you know, they're new. I'm always like that. But I think if this was a lighter blue, for me, it would look better. Because I really like this blue. I like the hats that Williams have. You know, it's in that brighter, bolder blue that they have. So, yeah, I would like to see a little bit more of that. Let's look at it from a different angle. This is from the rear. So, yeah, this blue, spot on. The livery's done well. And, yeah, top 5 for me. Top 5 livery for Williams. They've smashed it out of the park. And Williams are on some stuff this season. Maybe not in terms of the car, because I don't know how things are going to progress for 2025. Because, of course, their expectations and their hopes are set on 2026 when the new regulations come as a fresh start to be able to build upon from there. So this season's going to be more about making sure their calibrations are all right, gathering the data and making sure they're set up for 2026. And, you know, hopefully not going to have a 2025 that was like Haas in 2021 where they did absolutely nothing that season. Hopefully it's not like that, but I don't think it's going to be a huge season for them because the focus, of course, is for 2026. But let's wait and see. Could be, hopefully, surprised by the team. My protein is arse, by the way. There's better protein brands. All right, Fabio. All right. Fabio knows his protein. Look at the size of him, okay? He knows his protein. Fem's asking me to hydrate. Okay, yes, miss. Thank you, producer Fem. I like the lighter tone of blue. I just wish they had a splash of yellow. Yeah. I did like, of course, last season where they added the yellow with, obviously, Colapinto sponsors. So I think that was really good. But, yeah, I mean, it's not a bad livery. I think it's really good. I think the white accents match it nicely. They haven't obviously tried to do too much with it. And I think they've hit the nail on the head. Like I say, I think what would improve it for me is just making the front a little bit more like this color. This color is Williams for me. That's the color I associate Williams, not the darker blue, this color blue. And I think it would have been nicer to implement that a little bit more on the front. What's Up Danger, such tune as well. Yeah, James Vowles walking out to What's Up Danger. Inject that into my veins. Like, give it to me. Give it to me, James Vowles. And if any of you haven't seen yet, the Williams, like when they did their shakedown, they launched the car. They didn't launch the livery, but they launched the car. Weird season, obviously, because we've got this F175 live, but we get like double launches with some teams. And they went very rogue with it, but in a way that I liked. Like, you know, the presenter, Steve, coming out and saying, because it was on Valentine's Day, that usually on a day like today I'd be making love to my wife, but here I am. That set us off for the mark, be like, whoa, what are we getting in for? And then introducing James Vowles with James Vowles' massive throbbing brain. And then Mr. and Mr. with Carlos and Alex. But I was there for it. It's different. I was like, this is weird. I'm just not used to it. Again, F1 it's too serious. It's too, you know, we have to be our best representations of ourselves because we're people in suits. But no, now it's starting slowly to be this more fun, and let's poke fun at ourselves and just have fun. Steve Jones, that was it. Steve Jones. I knew it started with a J, but I had Steve Jobs in my head. I know that's not Steve Jobs because that's the man from Apple. So it's not the same person. For me, 7.5. What are we saying ratings, chat? I didn't ask for your ratings on steak, so if you could, in the same message, I want your steak rating. Underneath, I want your Williams rating. Out of 10, what are you giving this? For me, steak, it's... The renders, it's a 6 for steak, but in real life, it's a 3. It's a 3 in real life. I'm hoping it's going to be more like the renders, but for me, real life, it's a 3. For me, for this, it's an 8. I really, really like this. What would have made it better for me? I've said the front, a lighter blue. Let's see what some of you guys are saying. So we've got Fem saying steak 3, Williams is an 8. Just copying me. This is why we're a great couple. We're just so in sync. We've got Doctor saying Sauber's a 6, Williams a 7.5. Really? Okay. Sauber 6 out of 10. 7.5. We've got Blastic saying 2. Williams is an 8. Stake is a 3 for Scotty. In the renders, 7 out of 10. That's still on Stake. Then Williams, 8 out of 10. Williams is a 6.8, going very specific. Stake, 5. Williams, 7. But if the entire car was lighter blue, 8. Stake, 4.5. Williams, 9. Fabio saying Stake 5, Williams 7.58. Let's see what you guys are saying over on YouTube. Pixel Brick, welcome in. Liam, it's good, but if you look close, it's bad. That was talking about Stake one earlier. And over on TikTok, thank you very much, Caden, for the gifts, for the heart, for the boxing glove. Thank you for the follow as well. The RB is fire. We're getting into that next. Don't you worry. We are getting to that next. Let's get into it then. Anything else that I had written down for Williams, though, before I do move on? One more thing I want to talk, and I want to know your opinion of this, right? So this is something that I thought up on the night about how to make F1 75 live better. Obviously, next year will be F1 76. It'll just be going for all the season names. We don't know the drivers that are going to be driving for the teams until this event. Okay, nobody knows. It's going to be insanely difficult to keep it under wraps and stop people from leaking it. But if that were possible, in a world that was possible. And what got me thinking about this was Williams, they brought on all their mechanics with their helmets on. And it reminded me of, if anybody's watched the MCU announcement at Comic-Con when they announced Doctor Doom, there was loads of Doctor Dooms on the stage, and then one of them walks forward and then pulls off their mask, and it's Robbie Downey Jr., who's back in the MCU, not as Iron Man, but as Doctor Doom. And we're all just like, what the fuck? How is this happening? Right? How is this? No one was expecting it. That's what I want. Imagine, right? Carlos Sainz. We all think he's a Ferrari driver. Nobody knows that he's leaving Ferrari. He walks out onto the stage. He's got his helmet on. We've got, obviously, Alex Albon, that we're kind of expecting it to be Alex Albon, but he's also got a helmet on, and it's just a blank helmet. It's a Williams standard helmet. They get to the front next to James Vowles. Bam. Helmet comes off. It's fucking Carlos Sainz, and we're all like, what the hell? Carlos Sainz is in a Williams. Who the hell is at Ferrari? And obviously, that would build up even more, speculation and a massive reveal when Lewis Hamilton is revealed at Ferrari later on. But if that were possible, if there was a way for it to be kept secret and to stop it being leaked and to have that, for me, I think that'd be absolutely insane. I want to know quickly your thoughts. Is it a ridiculous idea? Is this one of Hayden's ridiculous ideas that we obviously are always used to? Or do you think that this would be an absolutely banging idea? If nobody knew who's driving where, and then just out of nowhere, bam, Pro wanted F1 to be like that. I've actually never watched wrestling. I'm sorry if that disappoints you, but I've actually never watched wrestling. So maybe I've stolen it. F1 fans can easily leak stuff nowadays. Yes and no. Yes and no. Hey, Blakey boy, welcome in. Thank you very much for the raid. Hope your stream went well that you've just done, but I also hope your stream went well last night watching F1 75 Live. We're just currently talking about it at the moment for everybody joining in. Hope you enjoyed over on Blake's side of things. I'm currently talking about the event last night because I was there. So we're now reviewing it. We're going team by team. We're currently on Williams. I want your opinion on this, Blake, okay? I just said that I think one way to make this event better is that nobody knows the teams the drivers are driving for. We all expect them to be in the same team, but they come out on stage. They've got a helmet on, a blank helmet, right, in the colors of that team. They get to the front of the stage, helmet comes off, and then it's revealed who that driver is for the team. So like, bam, Carlos Sainz, helmet off. Oh my God, he's at Williams. And we get to Merc. Lewis Hamilton isn't there, and we're like, oh my God, what's happened to Lewis Hamilton? Is he retiring? Has he moved teams? Gets to the Ferrari reveal. Bam, Lewis Hamilton is there. That'd be absolutely insane. For me, I'm here for it. F1, get in contact. We'll sort this for next season. But I hope you enjoyed it. It was a shame not to see you there. But make sure you go and follow Pondon as well if you haven't already done so. Of course, you most likely have, because who hasn't? But we're going on Williams. I think that is everything. The ovals also look sick. I'm really a big fan of the white and blue. I think they look great. And Carlos Sainz, as it stands right now, haven't seen all the helmets. We'll see when we get to Australia. At the start of the season, best helmet on the grid so far. He's managed to blend his Spanish flag elements that he's had across most of his helmets of his career very well into the blue of Williams. And I think it is absolutely banging. Right, let's get on to the next team, VCarb. Now, VCarb didn't go with a hype video like all the other teams. You know, Williams came in, with a historic part of Williams. That was the past. This is the now. Here comes James Vowles. Oh my god. I'm turned on by him. Stake came in with, you know, again, it's about putting the hard work in. It's not about the past. It's about the future. We're building it back up. There's hype for the team. VCarb went for a more comedic, memey video about the name. You know, they had many main name changes. AlphaTauri, Toro Rosso. They've been Minardi once upon a time as well when it wasn't under that umbrella. And of course now we are VCarb, RB, you know, so many different names. And obviously trying to push on the name of Visa Cash App Racing Bulls, which I hope we all know now, okay? We should all know. If anyone is still getting wrong, then you're a major, major disappointment, all right? But I actually really enjoy the video. And I think it's a good representation of what VCarb is, all right? They are about being fun. I think it was a theme certainly across the night because, of course, all these teams, it's the same with their branding and their colors. The branding also has to come out in their videos. They have to represent the personality of that team. For Williams, it's about the pedigree. It's about their history and their success in the past, but also returning to there. We look at, for example, Aston Martin later on. 007 ties, but also very classy. It was very classy, and that definitely gave those elements. For VCarb, it's all about, you know, being more humorous, being fun, adding that element, and bringing in a different audience to Formula One. Bringing in a new audience and keeping them entertained outside of just watching the cars and the storylines behind the drivers. So I thought, personally, from that aspect, it was a really good video. It was funny, it was enjoyable, and it was a good way to kind of break up, because if every team comes up with a hype video, they're all just kind of the same. So I'm glad that the teams had a blank canvas, just like they do when it's a new regulation of cars, and go, right, what are we going to do with this? And I really enjoyed it. And then they come out with the car. We need to get a picture of this. I've got all the pictures. Where is the picture? Because hands down, this is the best livery on the grid. Look at this sexy mofo. Oh my god. Look at that. Top tier. This is S tier. This is 10,000 out of 10. We have been begging Red Bull to bring the white Red Bull back. And they did it. They did it on their sister team because they didn't want to change the branding of their own car, but they still did it. And it's just the details. I mean, when it came out with the yellow nose, I was like, hold on, what is this? What is this? It's a yellow nose, because we've never really seen the junior team with the yellow nose. Like, pretty much exactly the same as Red Bull. We've seen it with the gold with Toro Rosso, but never like this yellow. And then it slowly starts to come on. It's white. You know, this part here, it's still kind of a bit similar to what we had last season. We still had the white, of course, from last season. But then it gets further down. We're like, oh no, we are getting a white Red Bull. And they have nailed it. Even to the little details of the balls on the back that kind of replicate what Mercedes have done with the Mercedes star on their car. But it looks so sick. And the blue, I don't know what shade of blue is, but I absolutely love it. It's amazing. The Honda red on the white background is brilliant. I think the sponsors, they've done a really good job there with, you know, making it look great. Honestly, one of the best liveries that I think we've had in a long time. And it's VCarb, so I don't think it's going to be as fast as it looks. They're not going to be winning championships anytime soon, right? Let's be honest. But they're still going to be looking sexy when they do it. And just look at this. And come on, what are we doing here? There we go. I'm just in love with this. Like, it's just such a small detail. But it just looks so good. It just looks so good. Welcome into the chat, Razin. Only thing I have to pick out is the green Cash App, but regardless, it's not a massive eyesore. Yes, okay, the green, but I think they did the best job of what it could go on the background. I think the green on the white is fine. I think on blue, it would be worse. And then that would be a bit more of an eyesore. But on the white, I think for me personally, it's not a huge issue. I think this car looks great. And I cannot wait to see it hit the track, which we've already seen. I think that I might actually already have a picture of the V-Carb on track, because they have been out on track. I can tell you that I don't have a picture of the V-Carb out on track. I don't have one, sadly. But there is a picture over on Twitter. So you can go and find that. Thank you very much for the follows, by the way. Acid and I prefer Formula 1 or Formula 1 car. Thank you very much. Why didn't Brawn GP get unveiled? Next season. Next season, it's coming. Can we see the wheel covers? There's no wheel covers on this car. At least there isn't any on the renders. What do we think then? Rating out of 10, chat. Rating out of 10. What do we think for this one? Blake, if you're still here, I've got a question for you. Okay, you're obviously a Red Bull content creator. Would it be okay if I applied to be a RB content creator? Because I'm in love with this livery. Right, you can have Red Bull. That's fine. I'll go to RB. I'll be the... It doesn't make sense because I'm older than you, so therefore I'm not really the junior, but I feel like I'm more childish. So therefore it does make sense. If you don't reply, then I'm just going to assume that it's a yes, you're all okay with that, and I'm going to go do it. Best lever on the grid of the night as well. We've got 1,000 out of 10, 10,000 out of 10. What have we got? We've got another 10,000 out of 10. Everybody in love with the V-Carb, and rightfully so. Tom654, welcome in. V-Carb says, is V-Carb not Visa Cash App Racing Bulls? No, it is Visa Cash App Racing Bulls. We were told last night, all right? We have to get the name right. It's Visa Cash App Racing Bulls. Yuki said, if I'm not a Red Bull, you can make me a Japanese livery car. I mean, fair, you know. Bradley, thank you very much for the rose as well. Thank you. If you are new around here, do make sure you hit that follow button to make sure you never miss out on a stream. I'm going to be looking to improve these streams as we go on and flesh them out as much as possible, because I want to do a lot more of these sort of like talking about Formula 1 streams. The season's getting up and running again. We've got testing next week, and there's only a month away, less than that, until we go racing. So really excited for that. Quirty, shout out with the Prime sub, 27 months. What an absolute legend. 9-month streak. We've got another baby. Woohoo! Ooh, stream. What a V-Carb masterpiece, by the way. People sleeping on the Haas also. We'll get to the Haas, but also one that I really like. I'm going to make sure I take some water on there. Got to stay hydrated. Do we have any more pictures of the V-Carb? Because I could look at this car all day. We do. We do. Let's bring this one up. Right. Of the front. Again, it's always good when it's a car that looks great from all angles. There are cars on this grid that only look good from certain angles. For example, I like looking at the stake from the front rather than looking at it from the side. I think also Alpine, going to get to that one. I have a controversial opinion about Alpine. But it's another car that looks good from different angles. Haas, there's an angle of that car where it looks fucking sexy. All right, it looks amazing. And we're going to get to that soon. But this is a great angle of the RB. I really like I don't know if you've noticed this, but there's just this little blue element underneath the side pod. Can you see that? Just a little line of blue, little slash of blue. And whilst it's so minuscule, it just suits so well. It just looks so good. They've got a bit of weight saving going on here, I guess. Not really a place you kind of need to bother painting, to be honest. So I'm not going to take any points away for not painting this side of the car, because it's covered by the wheel arches. You're rarely going to see this sort of area of the car, and it still looks great. So I don't care too much. Same with the underneath here. If there's areas that they can save the weight whilst using white, because I heard that white paint is actually like the heaviest paint. So they're hindering themselves a little bit here, but if they can save weight in places, then do it without compromising livery, and I think they've done a beautiful job. Put a picture of it on track in Discord if you want. Legend. Thank you very much. Let me grab that. Where is that? Where is that? Where is that? Where is that? In the Discord. Did you put it in general or in Formula 1? There it is. Right, let me save this image. Yeah. Right, come here. Where is it? Here it is. There it is. Just looks good on track as well. And that's always a good thing. Cars can always sometimes look good in renders, look bad out on track. Some cars look terrible in renders, but look so much better in real life. I remember the first time that Alpine and BWT sort of came together. Their first livery, I was like, yeah, I'm unsure on it. I'm unsure on it. Then I saw it when I went to Bahrain testing, and I was like, oh, do you know what? Actually, that looks really good. This one looks good. Real life renders anywhere it goes. Absolutely stunning. It's just 10 out of 10. And yeah, Yuki's helmet complements it so well. It's a 10 out of 10. They've done a fantastic job. Visa Cash App, Racing Bulls, winners of the night. Great video. I know some people didn't like it because it wasn't a hype video, but it was a good fun video. It was entertaining, and you know, they spent the 7 minutes well, and then they came out with an absolute banging livery. So top 10. Yeah, Visa Cash App, Racing Bulls, you win the evening. And that is my #1 livery of the night. I know we've still got more liveries to go, but that is my #1 livery of the evening. Right, on to the next team, and we move over to Haas. In between that, we had Kane have a performance. As I say, Fen went for a wee then, so didn't watch it. But America's VT was just, you know, we are America. And, you know, it's just America. That's the Haas way. Again, it fits the personalities of each team. Haas is an American team. They lean into that. And, of course, they're going to do that in their VT. For Haas, anything we got on the night was better than what we have been getting in the past. Because for Haas, and this is a reason why I much prefer doing this F1 75 live over what we currently have of some teams launching their cars, but others just saying, do you know what, this will do. Haas would always just go, here's our renders, there's our car, job done, we'll take the rest of the afternoon off. Whereas for this, we had something, and the expectations weren't high for Haas because of what we've had in the past, but I don't think they did a bad job. It was a decent VT, not one of the best. It was a safe one. It was just, you know, we're American. This is our grit. You know, we've been here for 10 years. Let's keep on pushing. So yeah, but in terms of the livery, let's take a look at it now. I think it's a really good development on what they've had in previous seasons. I think the Haas, I liked what they did last year with the bringing more of the white elements and the MoneyGram and the red and the white and the black. It all suits it really well. They've got a bit of weight saving going on, of course. They're a team that's kind of in the mid-pack towards the back, but they can save weight here, but also still have a really great livery. And I like the white elements. It was actually leaked. This car, not going to lie, it was leaked. One of the only cars that was leaked before. And I'm not just talking about when they did it 5 minutes before everyone else saw it on the broadcast. They did a shakedown on Sunday at Silverstone, and it was leaked there going around the track. People took pictures of it around the track, and it was leaked. But hey, do you know what? A great livery. I want to take a picture of it as well. You can see it from the front, from this one. Obviously, the American flag there. The Haas logo looking very nice too. And I think, yeah, the red accents with the black, the white, looks really, really good. And making me reassess my... I'm going to do a tier list at some point, maybe next week or a video later in the week or something like that. But it's making me reassess my order of the teams, because this looks really good. This looks really good from here. And I've got another picture where I think this car... I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I think from above... Can I... Why is it... What's it doing? There we go. From above, it looks really, really good. From above, it looks really, really good. And they've done a good job of kind of like making it less carbon from above. You're not really going to see a team from above, even just like little bits of detail like this. I don't know if this is actually going to be how the front wing looks in terms of these waviness. I think that's just the way the carbon's been weaved or whatever they've done with the render. But I'm liking these little just accents of color on the front wing. You know, it's minuscule. It's just stickers, but it does the job. Like, it looks good. Ocon, great helmet as well. Great helmet on the boy. So, yeah, happy with that. Ollie Behrman's also got a great helmet. I think Bortoletto's got a great helmet. For me, Sainz is the best, but we'll do a proper review when they've all been released and look at them individually. But Haas, sexy livery. I think in my top 5. I think for me, it's in my top 5 for Haas. What are your guys' opinions on it as well? Only complaint for me is the nose having too much white, otherwise solid. I'm going to disagree. I'll disagree with you on that one because it blends nicely. You've got the red here on the front wing. You've got the black here on the front wing. You've got this segment of the white here, and then it blends into the red accents and the black. But that is your opinion, Saf. So you are totally entitled to it. I would like some Ratings out of 10 from all of you in chat. Let's read what you could have said. Hash should have played Freebird when the card come out. Yeah. Until next year when Calic comes in and we got 2 American teams on the grid. Then they'll start saying the original American team, which I don't think really is particularly true, because I'm sure there's definitely been other American teams in the past. I'm pretty sure Haas have even been some way involved in Formula 1 in the past as well. So maybe they'll try and look at that and be like, yeah, we were the original. Let's look at the Haas from a different angle. Let's bring up, where is it? Let's bring up a different angle of the car, because I really like this picture. This picture I really, really like. One of my favorite pictures of the car. Here, there we go. We can have that on screen whilst we talk about it. White side pod, yep, I think looks great. The logo, this, we'll get into Alpine next, but this is how you make the logo look good on the side pod. The black on the white is bold, it stands out, it looks great. It doesn't look weird to me, like another team's. I'm not sure I like the side pod, not gonna lie. Okay, so someone loves it, someone hates it. Tom doesn't like it. We got Swifty, says S-Bound suit helmet fits so hard. Yeah, the red accent lines look really good. Much prefer the black Haas on white to white on black from last year. And I think I agree with you. I think I agree with you on that. Also, notice the Toyota Gazoo Racing on the back. Of course, they've got a partnership between the two of them. Something I have speculated on in the past. Will Toyota take over Haas in the future? Will Haas pull out of Formula 1? And this is a soft launch of Toyota slowly taking over the team. Time will tell. Time will tell. Of course, we have Komatsu. He is Japanese, leads the team. So there's going to be partnerships and relationships there that could potentially look at that as a prospecting opportunity in the future. But that's for the future. That's for us to find out if that will eventually happen. Esteban Ocon in the car makes it an 8 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. All right, Razin. Didn't know you were a huge Esteban Ocon fan. Calm down, bro. Definitely up there. I love how they work in the MoneyGram sponsorship too by mirroring it white on red on the rear wing. Ah, okay. What do you mean? White on red. What do you mean on the rear wing? In terms of this? In terms of it's mirrored so you always see it the right way, or? I sit with it. Looks an invert of last year's, but I really like it. We've got some 7s, 9s, 5. For me, I said that obviously the V-carb was a 10,000 out of 10. This is a very solid 8 as well. Solid 8. Maybe a 7. I don't know. It's making me reassess. This might actually be over the Williams. The Williams might drop down to 5 for me. And this go... No, I'm going to reassess it. I think actually this is going to go 3rd. I think I'm going to put this in 3rd. I think I'm going to put this... Let's keep it as an 8. I think I'm going to put this 3rd. I think this is my 3rd. Williams has dropped down to 5th. My other 3rd, I'm now assessing. And maybe even Williams 4th. My other 3rd is actually dropping from 3rd to 5th. Now I'm looking at these renders. Fem says a 7.5. I like the Alpine. What do you mean? Yeah, we're gonna have some arguments. I think I'm gonna argue with a lot of people in a moment. But it is also this picture. Maybe it's making it look good from this picture. This picture's now making me forget what it was looking like in real life when we were there. Anyway, on to I think the next team. I think that's all my notes on Haas. There wasn't really a lot because there wasn't a lot to really pick from their thing. Alpine. So F1 35 Live, I think, was a really good event. I think a lot of teams really brought it. I think a lot of teams really brought some Shazam to the evening. They wanted to make it a big night. They wanted to make it fun. Now, don't get me wrong. They brought some Shazam. They brought a DJ to, put on a show. And that was about it. Felt like the longest one. As I said, I went back and I looked at all of the time slots that each team had. Each team did stick to their 7 minutes. No one went over. But Fem said, why did it go on 15? It just felt like it dragged on and it went on for so long. And, I mean, the DJ wasn't even singing in time to the music that he was playing. I've never been a DJ, right? So I'm not going to slay a DJ because I don't know how hard it is and all the little pressing the buttons and the dials. But there's at some points when you watch a DJ and you think, are you actually doing anything? Or is it all just for show? Like, have you already pre-recorded what you're playing for the evening? I know the DJ was Brian Tyler, and we were expecting before the night for there to be a live performance of the F1 theme tune, and that's why he was, of course, a guest and an artist that was performing that night. That's what I was expecting. But instead, you know, we got what we got. And yeah, and I just wasn't a fan. I wasn't a fan of that, and I was like, okay, this is dragging on. And then we get to the livery, and I know that I'm going to probably get a few people that maybe disagree with me, and I'm going to try and find some pictures of the car that I have saved. So, we've got this one here. Right, okay. From some angles, I don't mind it. Other angles, I absolutely hate it. Right, we've got this one. Hang on. There we go. Right, okay. This angle, I want to like it. It's kind of just messes with my brain. I want to like it because I love pink. Pink's a great color. I also love blue, and I always love to try and put them together. But in places, it just doesn't work for me. It's like there's too much pink here on the front. The blue is stunning. The only thing I'd change is the pink. Yeah, this on the dark blue background, on the blue, looks horrible to me. This BWT looks awful to me. This is the worst part of the car for me, is this side pod. We'll get to it on a side view. This, I think there's far too much pink here. And maybe, just maybe, I mean, it hasn't, at least I haven't heard, this could be, yeah, Ben was right. I was like, please be pink. Please be pink. And I was like, too much pink. No, if it was all pink, like Racing Point did, at times, not a problem. Or you go all blue. And I think the way I would improve this livery is to make it more blue. All right, you have the pink elements on the front wing. I think that's fine. This is all blue here. And I'm going to find another picture I've got, which is this one here. This is the part of the car I absolutely love. I like this color of blue. The blue's really nice. What I really like is this is a kind of throwback, isn't it, to when they had the red on the back for the Alpine colors. But instead, it's obviously the BWT sponsorship, and it's the pink. And I really like this. Also, yeah, the NEI sponsor, throwback, if anybody remembers this being the sponsor of the Hungarian Grand Prix. That's where I associate this logo from. But this is really nice for me. This is really, really nice. Mate, the cutout of the vinyl offends me so hard. What do you mean? What, here? Like this gap? Or this part? I don't know what you mean. But this, solid. And I would have been really happy if that was the only part of pink. You know, maybe they could have added in other elements. Like I said, the front wing could have been good. But then we get to here, and I just... I'm really not a fan. I'm really not a fan of the way this logo is on the side. And it's not a livery that I see. Oh, they'll probably change that at some point. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this. I don't think it's down there with Steak. I think this is a 4 out of 10 for me. Steak was a 3. Steak 3 because it's like they gave up halfway through. You know, or they just ran out of paint. The budget couldn't go for the whole paint job. And for certain angles, it looks fine. Like, this looks fine because you've separated the pink and the blue. This is perfectly fine for me. It's separated the pink and the blue. You can't really see much of the blue. So from the front, it looks fine. You're like, oh, it's an all pink car. And then you go to the side angle and you're like, oh, no, okay, the blue. And then, yes, from certain elements, it looks good. But when I look at certain parts of the car, like if I just look at this section on its own, just kind of get rid of that part. But if I look at this part, I'm like, yep, this looks good. The halo being pink, yeah, it's not a bad thing. Obviously ties in with the sponsorship, could have this blue. Here and here, these two parts don't go with each other for me. They just don't go. They just don't go. This part here works really nicely. The pink on the rear wing works really nicely. The pink on the front wing works really nicely. The pink on the nose, no, not for me. But what are your opinions? I've seen that Alpine, I think, has been the biggest Marmite car on the grid. Some people love it, some people hate it. I want to know, what are your opinions of it? Do you love it? Do you hate the Alpine? Let me know in the chat. Why do people like the V-Car livery so much? Because it absolutely fucking bangs. That's why. Because it's sexy. Prince! Thank you very much for the flaming heart. Really, really appreciate you. 4 out of 10 is so low. I'm sorry, but I just don't like it. That's just my opinion. That's why we're here. We're here to give opinions. You give me your opinion, I'll give you my opinion. But for me, it's a 4. If you like it, you like it. That's fine, you know. I think in terms of a content car, it's going to look great because there's a lot of pink here. It stands out from the track, and I wouldn't mind driving it. But in terms of like the rest of it, it's just not for me. Like there's so many parts that rate it down, and it just doesn't work together. And I said this last night. Apart from this part here, the back, the way that this part here and here blends in with each other, it's like I've gone on to F1 24. And I've gone, my favorite 2 colors are blue and pink. And that's what I want my team car to be. So let's put them together on a livery with only 2 color options. You know, because if you play the game, you only get the 2 colors. Bam there, pink, blue. Yeah, that's what we've made. And for me, it's just, yeah, it's not that great. Right, what ratings are we getting from people? I like the shiny. Again, same. I'm glad that we're getting paint on cars again. I'm glad that it's not the black one that they had from last season, because that was a disappointment. And Alpine have had banging liveries in the past. They've been some of the best liveries in the past 5 years. But this one has not hit the mark for me. But I like, yeah, the glossy shine. It's fine after 2 races, then a surprise. Potentially, and that's what I'm thinking as well, you know, is the overdoing of the pink just because BWT want it? And we've seen it in the past where they run the pink for 2 races and then we get the normal livery. Or we have 2 different liveries for the season. If that is the case, and this turns blue, and this is pink, this will go from a 4, of course we need to change this logo here, but a 4 to potentially, I mean I need to see it, but potentially even a 7 or an 8. Like, it can take a huge jump up with just that fix. But for me, the pink on the front nose, I don't like it. But hopefully, yeah, they announced that this is just a BWT special livery, and we're going to get a new one. They made 2 different liveries and put them together. Yeah, true, that could be a good point. Querty saying it's horrible. They say it's mid. I don't love it, but I do like it, says Shancy. Stashian says it's mid for me. Razin says 6, as we said earlier. It'll probably look better on track. They usually do. To be fair, that's a good point. Alpine, I've always said before, or at least I have said it before when I've gone to races. I've been like, okay, the Alpine surprised me. Sasso 5 would look a lot higher if the BWT on the side pod were white. Agree. I don't even know if it has to be white. Maybe even just white round the edges. But again, it's something I'd need to see. The 2 differences, of course. Quaddy says 2 out of 10, going really low. That's lower than me. Okay, I mean, this part saves it for me. The back saves it for me, and I'd say this upper part of the blue. And I really like the blue. It's just that part lets it down, and that part lets it down for me. 5.5 says Cash. You're at least the white outline stand out more. As we're now halfway through discussing liveries, I am here to remind you we have a season-long prediction up in our Discord. It will close before preseason starts, so get in the Discord and predict for a chance to win big in our community. If you haven't already done so, as Doctor's just mentioned there, and I've repeated that message, !bar Discord in chat. Get yourselves in there. We'll run prediction for the whole season. It will close before the season starts. And then every single race, we run predictions as well before the race. Shout out to Doctor. He is an absolute legend. And the Discord wouldn't run without him. So, I'm not going to take any of the credit. None of it is me. It is all Doctor providing the entertainment for all of you guys throughout the season, doing a brilliant job on running that Discord and making it go so smoothly. So make sure you get in there if you haven't already done so. Get your predictions in for the season, and yeah, let's see if you can win big by the end of the year. Love the livery launch season. It shows those who are over fussy and those who are just here for the vibes. But we also get that from this video. You know, VCarb. They're there for the vibes. We got just a nice sort of fun, jokey video. You get Mercedes very efficient and, you know, just about we are winning, you know, or we have won at least. So I still, and we're going to get to this. This is better. Aston Martin next. Aston Martin win in terms of going overboard for the video. I loved so much about Aston Martin over the course of the night. So they come in, they've got the Bond theme. Of course, Aston Martins are the brand that is sponsoring or associated with the James Bond brand. So of course they leaned into that, and I absolutely loved. I think the film is The World Is Not Enough, where there is the Thames chase scene on boats. They basically recreated that through their animation, and they had Fernando Alonso, Lance Stroll in the jet speedboats through the Thames, going to the Millennium Dome. If you haven't watched the film, it's a chase scene on the Thames, right outside the Millennium Dome or the O2 Arena. And at the end of it, it ends with Bond and a Bond girl on the Millennium Dome. Is kind of how it went. It's been ages since I've watched the film. I'm a huge James Bond fan, so this was a big win for me to replicate that. Also, when they walked down, Lance Stroll was like here. Lance Stroll was here. I was maybe about 5 meters away from Lance Stroll when they came to a stop, and I was hoping they'd walk all the way down to then go down to the stage, and I'd be able to touch his hand, but sadly they didn't come down far enough. So I was this close to being on the broadcast as well. This close. But I thought it was brilliant. They leaned into that, and then they take that, and whilst the drivers are going to get changed into, do a really quick change, fair enough, because a lot of teams had a lot more time, because they'd had like a section, be like, right, okay, off you go get changed. You've got this much time until you need to be on stage. They had that. They come down. Then there was obviously the performance. That was the time for them to get changed. They had 3 different elements, Aston Martin. Then had a great animation showing the history of the brand and within motorsports, obviously how it begun, how it's taking part in Le Mans, part of James Bond as well. So great animation from that, revealing the livery too. And then we had this very classy performance from Thames and the orchestra, which is very quintessentially Aston Martin. You know, they're a very classy brand. They are for the upper class, is Aston Martin pretty much. And that is their brand, that is their style, and that's what I really liked again about this event, is that the teams didn't just go and have, oh, this is what you must do. No, you have 7 minutes to launch your car. You can do it in whatever way possible. All you have is in front of you that we will provide is a stage and screens that you can use. And each team did it differently. And Aston Martin, brilliant. I think it was a brilliant performance. Brought the car out. The car, pretty much similar to last year. I don't like that they've taken away the green on the side pod and put on the black, but maybe it will grow on me. But I do like the white on the top. So let's grab a picture. Aston Martin, bit disappointed though. Not too many pictures of the car. We only really have this render. Not the worst team for pictures of the car though. Not the worst team. There has been worse. But this is Aston Martin's. So yeah, I think the black, I mean, it's a good cut off here, but because of the side pod then popping like up and over it, it doesn't work for me in that sense. Like if this was a straight line and the black doesn't go over this, what sort of color would we call that? It's a yellow, but it's not a yellow. It's like a greeny yellow, isn't it? It's like a lime, I suppose. It kind of looks more yellow because it's next to this green, but if you put it by itself, it'd be more of like a lime green, wouldn't it? But because the black is like over the top of that, it doesn't quite work as well for me, but it's still a really good livery. I mean, Aston Martin have had good livery since they come into the sport, apart from, of course, the BWT. Watermelon color, I think it looks better like this. But I think the white accent here is just, it's such a small addition, but it works nicely. It's a small addition, it works nicely. The Aramco doesn't stand out massively. It's got its own branding on the rear wing, but it doesn't take over the livery, so that's great. Because obviously the worst thing could have been that they put this color scheme for Aramco here on the side pod. That would have been bad. That would have been horrendous. But they haven't done so. You know, they still kept it very sleek and smooth, and you know, I think for Aston Martin. So I said earlier, I had a team in 3rd. I've dropped that now down to 5th. I think Aston Martin was 3rd. I think it helps. I'm very much biased. Not, you know how we have recency bias. It's more, for me, it is kind of like that. If a car livery changes, it goes up in my mind for sure. If something's new, then I'm like, oh, I really like that. And there's great liveries on the grid that are still on the grid that haven't changed, but because this is still slightly new, I was like, oh, okay, this is here, I like it. But I think I put the Haas 3rd for now. We maybe will change our opinion in the next couple of days, especially after we see them in testing. So I'm going to do my tier list after we see them on testing, because obviously we get a better idea of what the cars look like when they're out on track and how they really look, rather than these obviously amazing lighting renders that they've put together. But yeah, I think this just drops it down a little bit for me, but who knows how it will look in real life. But 5th best team, maybe. in the top 5. Not too sure. I like it. I think, for me, 7. 7 out of 10 for Aston Martin as it stands right now. What do we all think from all of you lot in chat? I always want to know what your opinions are. Laugh my ass off. I have to remind that Hayden is #1 Sir Lance Stroll fan. Well, we're back. Zhou's not a driver this season, so to be fair, I'm full flying the flag for Ferrari. We've got Lewis, Charles, Zhou Guanyu, and who doesn't have Fred Vasseur as well? Like, what a team. What a team. So, yeah, I love the Bond intro and Alonso Stroll entering in tuxes. I've got to say, I do really wish Stroll... I get him because he's kind of... I feel like he's very socially awkward and he doesn't do well in those situations where he's on a stage and he's like, you know, playing up to a crowd. Whereas Alonso did a fantastic job where, you know, he was cracking a few jokes and he took the mic and he elaborated on what he wanted to say. Whereas Lance Stroll just sort of said, yeah, looks nice. Can't wait to go racing. And it's like, give me more, Lance. Come on, just give me a little bit more. Right, get your ratings in. I'm going to quickly take a little sip and then we will have a look at what you have to say. Okay, so we're going to need to start wrapping this up. We've got a few more teams to get into, so we're going to fly through this really quickly because we're going to cinema at about 5:45. So Fem's like, hurry up. Doctor, 6 out of 10, 5, 4 for little Linny. That is lower than I expected. Fem says a 6. Maybe I'm just a big Aston Martin fan. That's why I put it as 7. Phantom 7, 6, but decent, but similar. 5.5 pretty mid. Doctor, thank you for the hydrate. We'll hydrate again. Have another hydrate. I will. Yeah, come on, Hayden. Sorry, fam. Sorry. Over on YouTube, we have got... somebody just spamming. What do you think as Jake as host? I mean, Jack. Really enjoyable. I thought it was really, really enjoyable. It was a good show. Right. TikTok, what are you saying? Thank you very much for the roses. To the one with the Formula 1 emoji. I can't see your name because it doesn't pop up there, sadly. What livery do I think is best? V-Carb. V-Carb #1. What song is this, please? It's just some sort of chill song in the background. I don't know what it's called. It's like Before Chill or something like that. It's just an Epidemic Sound song. Anything else I had on my notes for Aston Martin? Nothing. Nothing else. Okay, so happy with that. Let's move on then to Mercedes. Mercedes, we're into our top 4 teams now. Mercedes. Safe VT. Nothing really special from their VT. You know, typical Merc. It's just efficient. It's to the point. But yeah, safe. It wasn't like they really went for it, but they also didn't do an Alpine and underperform. I think it was a good VT. However, Mercedes have started the season with a terrible pit stop. I don't know if anybody else saw it, but the pit stop at the beginning, the front right tyre, they couldn't get it off, and it was a slow stop already for Mercedes. So, great start for Mercedes for the season. I'm really not too sure about that. I don't know whose idea it was to sign off on the pit stop. No other team did it. It didn't really hit the mark for me. It was probably one of the parts of the night where I was like, oh, okay, this is obviously Alpine's performance it wasn't a performance, let's be honest. Alpine didn't have a performance. They just hired somebody else to do the job for them. But at least for Mercedes, you know, it's like, oh, this really good idea of getting our pit crew to do a pit stop. It didn't work for me. It didn't work for me. I don't know what everyone else take was on it, but it wasn't for me. That the livery pretty much exactly the same as last year, and I've got a bone to pick with Mercedes because Mercedes is the only team on the grid that hasn't posted a picture of their livery on their socials. Like, no renders. It's just this. This is... Oh. Press the wrong button. It's just this. This is all they've done. So they have just got the picture from the night that somebody's taken from afar. That is all they've got. Notable changes is pretty much exactly the same as last year, except the Ineos sponsorship has gone here. Now, I was saying last night, I'm unsure whether I like it being silver or not. Because at the moment, I'm sort of like, it's missing something here, right? Like, I feel like it's missing something. And because of that, I don't know whether it's because that I like the Ineos there, or I like this, or whether it's just because it's missing. And I've said earlier on in the stream that I think there are going to be teams that are going to be changing their liveries from now. Like, this isn't just this, here's our livery from the rest of the season. And I think potentially a sponsor deal has not been completed yet for Mercedes. Because this seems like such a large area of the car and a predominant part of the car. You know, look at Williams and the Duracell sponsorship. They've done a great job here. There's opportunity for a sponsor on the airbox intake. And it just looks too bare in a way. F1 has posted some on Insta. Yeah, that's fine, because obviously F1 will have pictures from this, but every other team has been really sort of like going for it on their liveries, apart from Mercedes and Aston Martin. They were the only two that didn't really post many pictures of their car. And it just seems weird to me that Mercedes didn't post any but this one picture. That was all they had, like on the Mercedes F1 Instagram. And that's what makes me think that this is not the end article for their car here. They are going to announce when they put their car on track on the 24th or wherever it is that you said, that there's going to be some sort of sponsorship on the airbox. And maybe I'm going to be completely wrong about that, but it just looks way too bare for me. It doesn't look right, and for me, it looks like something's going to go there, so something's coming. So, yeah. And the fact that Mercedes haven't posted anything about their cars shows to me again that this isn't finished, that they're going to have another post later on in the month that will be, here is our challenger. Here is our 2025 challenger. And it's the proper livery once a sponsorship deal's been signed. Do like the number on the nose being in black. Yeah, I mean, no for me, only because Mercedes, I'm used to growing up with when they first came and they had the white circle with the red. And obviously that was a classic hint back to their cars in the 50s when they were the silver arrows and they had the white and the red. That for me is a big thing that needs to come back. And I was actually quite surprised. I don't know about anybody else in chat. Let me know in chat what you think as well. But I was surprised that they came with the black livery. I think a lot of people expected them to lose the black identity and then go into silver, because of course they had it in 2021, then they went to silver in 22, then they went back to black in 23, and then for 24 last season they had this sort of like mix of both, the blend of both, but kind of like the black was being stripped off the car. So I expected it to kind of be a development of that, and then it'll go back to the silver arrows. But I know a lot of people, Fem for example, prefers the black livery. I prefer the silver. I think it did work really well in 2021, but I think in terms of standing out on track, I like the silver arrows. And I like the white circles with the red paint, but that's just me being picky. But nothing really to talk about too much with Mercedes. Exactly the same as last year. The race overalls look really good though. I like Adidas partnership. I think it's brilliant. We even, because the O2 is basically a big kind of like outlet store as well. There's a lot of different shops inside the O2 as well as the arena. So we went to the Adidas store just to see if they had the merch already up for sale, because of course F1 are there, so it's a great opportunity to sell merch, and they did, and I absolutely freaking love the shirts. I'm going to be getting one of both colors most likely. The white just reminds me of Real Madrid, gives me Real Madrid vibes. It feels like a football shirt, and I absolutely love that. I think one of my biggest pet peeves with F1 merch has usually been that it's some of it feels too rough and hard. I don't know. It just feels it's a material that doesn't bode well with sweating, for example, when I'm racing it in the rig. Whereas a football shirt is so much better for that. It can go in the wash, it's completely clean. Whereas these other shirts, I've got a box full of shirts that I only use for racing because they are only allowed to be used in this chair. If I wore them outside, I would get a lot of bad looks because they do stink after a while. Like literally after an hour, as soon as they just warm up, they smell. I'm letting you into it. This is TMI, it's too much information. But this is what happens with those shirts. Whereas there's other ones, like football shirts, for example, I can sweat in them, I can put them in the wash, they come out the wash, smell great, of course. And then after an hour or two, they still smell great because they're clean and they're easy to clean. A lot of F1 merch isn't, so I was really happy with that. That's my own personal beef. But in terms of looking at the shirts, they look beautiful as well. So I'm really happy with the Adidas partnership. Quickly, yeah, where is Niki Lauda's star? I thought it was that one there. It might be on the other side. Because I don't think they copy it over. I don't think they have it on both sides. I think it's only on one side of the car. So it might be on that other side. But hey, we only have one picture to go from. So we don't know. Quickly, then, let's get a rating out of 10 from everybody in chat. What do we think? I mean, it's basically last season, but we've got no Ineos sponsorship here. 6.5 from Doctor. The only good thing was to remove the red. I think it's still missing something here, and I don't know. I quite like the red. I know it was a contrasting opinion to a lot of other people, but I did quite like the red. Same as Aston 6. We got a 4.5, got a 7 from Phantom. The whole F1 event was an L. You're an L. Completely disagree with you, Morgs. Red was good. 5 out of 10. Waiting for changes. Bits of M5. If there's changes, I mean, there's no guarantee for that. This could just be completely bare and there'd be nothing on the airbox. Which I think is actually something we've seen before, maybe in 2019. Maybe this was bare, or 2018. I'm not too sure. But, yeah, there's no guarantee there's going to be some sort of sponsorship there. I just have a suspicion and an inkling that there might be. And that's why we haven't seen many more pictures of the car either. Yeah, I was kind of hoping for something different as well. I was kind of expected to go fully silver, but it didn't. Anyway, on to the next team. We move on to Red Bull. Right, whose idea was it? I've said this before, but whose idea was it to put Christian Horner on the stage? Especially after they already got booed, Red Bull and Max Verstappen, at the start of their event. They were just like, yeah, let's just stick with it. Let's put Christian Horner on the stage. One thing I did really like, though, was obviously before he got on the stage, they're playing the Rolling Stones, which is, of course, a tribute to Dietrich, who passed away. And the fact they keep doing that, and they always do that when they win a race, I think is a lovely sort of homage to him. And obviously, he's set up the team. You know, the team wouldn't be there if it wasn't for him. So I really did love that part of it. And you know, it's always nice when Christian Horner does come onto stage and talks about those sort of sides of the team. That it is still, you know, whilst I think Red Bull kind of seen as sometimes the villains of Formula One. You know, they are a family, and there's you know those nice aspects in that around the team that I always love to see. But yeah, it did get a little bit painful at times when the booing was going on. As I say before, I'm kind of immune to it. It's not something that really bothers or affects me too much, or I take too much notice of, just because I've grown up with football and a lot worse has been said in football. The VT was really good. I actually really enjoyed Red Bull's VT. Not too sure what it kind of meant. When I watched it back, they said it was like this year's Red Bulls kind of goes out to all the car fans. That's kind of what it was, like bringing car fans of all different cars behind the team. I kind of saw it more as, you know, getting behind the team, because there were all these fans of Red Bull that were like following the team. So get behind the team. You know, this is a part of our journey right now where we've come from being on top and we've been winning, and now we're going through a stage where we've dropped off. We've lost the constructors, we still won the drivers, but this season could be a difficult season for us, and then we're going to Ford next season. But don't go anywhere, don't leave us, get behind the team, stay with the team. That's kind of the message that I got from that. Maybe I'm deeping it a bit too much, but then they came out and they were dancing with the car, and then that was just really awkward, and Max Verstappen just looked like he didn't want to be there. I think we all don't think Max wanted to be there at the best of times, but when he came out and he probably looked behind him and saw them all dance, and be like, why am I here? Why am I here? I've got a baby on the way. I would much rather be there. And then doing a little bit of sim racing on iRacing and driving into some Williams esports people. But yeah, would much rather be at home than be there. Livery, just exactly the same. Again, if it's not broke, don't fix it. It is a good looking livery. I think we can all agree it's like an iconic livery. It's gone through especially a dominant period. And we're always like this. I mean, if you look, for example, at the Marlboro McLaren, how many years was that Marlboro McLaren looking that way, where it's the white and the red? Imagine if we had social media now. Every single year, everyone would be like, boring, same old car. But we all know that we look at that Marlboro McLaren and it is iconic. It is a beautiful livery. So, again, if it's not broken, don't fix it. However, I'm hoping for something soon. Not this season, but, you know, maybe going into 2026 when we have Ford coming on board, that there's a change. There's a change to the livery, because we've had this livery for like 10 years now. I think, you know, 10 years is enough years. 10 years is enough years of a livery that is good and iconic to kind of be moved on. Of course, you don't want to make it worse, so it is then hard to be like, how do we make this better? But obviously the last livery before was the partnership with Infinity, where it had the purple accents to it. So yeah, 2016 till now. So yeah, 10 years. Yeah, 10 years. So 2026 could be a change, bringing in a bit more blue maybe for Ford, or who knows how they could go with it. But I think 2026, it's time to put that livery on the shelf and be like, this was a great livery that we've done. Now let's try and make one that's better, or try and make a different one. So I think, yeah, I think let's move on now for next season. Let's enjoy it one last season, and hopefully next season we get a different livery, because it's been very much the same. Well, I haven't got a picture of it up at the moment. Let's get a picture of it. Let's talk about it. I mean, there's nothing really to talk about because, yeah, it is just exactly the same. Here it is. It's just nothing's changed. We've still got the Red Bull, the same matte color, the same matte red. This Gate.io, I think it could look a little bit better if it was like maybe Red Bull on the back. But hey, sponsors do be sponsoring, don't they? You know, they get it. What's all your ratings out of 10? If only Red Bull actually did the white. See, that's the thing. Red Bull are using V-carb as what we want. And this is obviously to keep the brand and maintain that this is what you expect to see, which is fair enough. You know, you don't... If Red Bull came out with a white Red Bull for them own selves, I think that's a really big contrast. I think we'd all be like, wow, this is amazing. It would be a banging livery for sure, but it's a big contrast. It's a big change, isn't it? So, totally unbiased. We got a 10 out of 10. It's a great livery, you know, and for me, I think, oh, we got a picture of Donington. For me, I don't know what to rate it, because obviously it's not new, so it definitely puts it down in my mind. In terms of the launch and the livery launch, it's like a 5 for me because it's the same. But in terms of the actual livery, it's maybe even an 8, maybe even a 9. Like, because it is just, it's simple, but it works, if that makes sense. You know, and I've always loved the way they've integrated the ball onto the airbox. I feel like I did have a side-on picture, but... yeah, here we go. Yeah, I've always loved this. Like, this has always just been huge, you know, and using this area of the car to sponsor. And there's not a lot going on. Yeah, fair. There's not a lot going on. But sometimes simplistic is the best way forward. And it works. And even though it's just one streak down the car, it works. It's a nice color that matches this yellow and red, but doesn't blend into it, you know. It still stands out, it's still different. And I think the whole Red Bull car, for me, it's an 8, maybe even a 9. Maybe even a 9 out of 10. Which is weird saying, because obviously it's the same car as last year. There's been no changes, but hey, if it's not wrong, don't. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Fem's telling me to move on, so we're going to move on to Forza Ferrari, baby. I was excited for this one because, of course, this is the first time seeing Lewis Hamilton red, and what is the car that he's going to be driving? Great tribute at the start to Enzo Ferrari. I thought so. Yeah, really classy intro to that as well. The reveal was a slow burner for them. It was very artistic and like sketch work again, but it was very much Ferrari, you know. It was the history. They've been there for so long when cars were drawn on a sketch pad like that, and every single element. I know Adrian Newey still does. If you want to stop him, take away the notepad and the pencil rather than anything else. But back then, that's obviously how everyone did it, and that is Ferrari saying we've been here the longest out of any team. But also the innovation of Ferrari, and it came through their VT, and I thought it was nicely done. Wasn't massively over the board and one of the best, but wasn't terrible. It was just good. It was a good, and we were all hyped anyway. It didn't need to do much because everyone was hyped anyway for Lewis and in Ferrari. The livery is a darker red from last season. They've gone for a darker Rosa Corsa from last season. With a white streak, which is looking like this right here. So this is the Ferrari for 2025. Now, this I feel like has split the F1 fan base because a lot of people think the white ruins it. I actually really like this, and this is my number 2. This is my number 2 on the grid. I think I like the dark element of the red. It looks really nice out on track as well. It's not like... I think this is the wrong shade of red for the render because it doesn't quite look like this in real life. But the white, I think, works. And imagine you didn't have the white and you just had the HP logo blue. The blue over the red would have been more of an eyesore. This makes it less of an eyesore, but has also been able to take that they have to have the HP sponsorship in blue, which I assume is the reason why they haven't changed it to having like just the white logo or the black logo. They've had to take it in the blue because that's what the company has said. That's the only way you're going to get our money is if you put it like this on your car. And they've taken that and they've said, okay, cool. How do we implement this into the car? Let's do a white streak. It doesn't go all the way down. It just goes down towards this sort of cut off here. And I think it's done really, really well. I really, really like it. As I say, my second favorite livery on the grid. We've got some pictures as well of it out on track, which have been posted too. So if I can just find those. Where is it? Actually, we got this one quickly. Both cars together. Frontal view. Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton. We've got their two cars. Thank you very much for the follow. Thank you to Clee. Thank you to Cash. Thank you to Liam. Simvlant as well. Thank you for the follows, guys. Yeah, I think this was really, really nice. And I had it. Where'd it go? There we go. This is out on track. Side view. So yeah, as I say, it's not as dark on the renders. It's still a darker red. It's not quite as scarlet, I want to say, as we saw last season. It's more similar to the shade that we saw in 2022. And also similar to what we saw in 2020, I want to say, when they did that one-off. But that was obviously a lot more maroon. That was a lot darker. So kind of like in the middle of what we saw last season. And then it's maroon, not red. Nah, it's still red. It's still red. And then the white, I think in real life, it just looks really, really good. I think they've hit the nail on the head. I think they've done a fantastic job on the livery. We haven't quite got a back full view. I think this is more blue on the back. I haven't been able to see a shot from the back, but again, this is more. I think this is the more focus of the car for this year because this is the only sort of major change. A Ferrari's a Ferrari. It's always going to be red. You're not going to rock up to have a blue Ferrari at the end of the day. Okay, you're not going to get a blue Ferrari. A Ferrari is always going to be a Ferrari. This is the only change, and I think they've done a good change here to add a little bit of white, make a change to the car rather than just be like, here's a red car, here's a red car, here's a red car. Add a little bit. For me, is it a 9? Is it a 10? I'm saving 10. 10 is only for V-Car because it is the best ever on the grid. It's a 9 for me. This is a 9 for me. I think I'm really, really happy. Sadie, what do you think about the red Scarlet car? 9. I'm not going to go into 0.5s because then we start getting into 0.1s and stuff like that. But 9 for me. Fem's going to 9.5. We got 7 out of 10. It's good, but I'm still kind of annoyed at the white. Cash is saying 7. Doctor's saying 2. 2! Right. Ban him. Ban him. Fem's saying 9.75. TikTok, what are you lot saying? It's just trying to load it. Reminds me of the white on the 2017 Ferrari. Yes, I agree. 6.5, it's the same. If it was new, 8.5 out of 8.4. New livery, what's that? Yeah. Right. Let's get on to the last livery of the grid. Also, actually, I've got a few little notes as well from last night for Ferrari. What did I say? Lewis in red, it just looks so right. I think we can all agree he's already looks like he's been driving for Ferrari for years. It looks great on him, and it's hands down, it's the sexiest team on the grid. Right? We've got Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, the two main drivers, Zhou Guanyu, fashion icon, and the handsome man himself, Fred Vasseur, in the middle. Like, come on, what's not to love? On to the final team then. We move on to McLaren. I know there's a lot of McLaren fans out there. I thought that their 7 minutes that they used, really cool concept. No other team did this, so unique in it. They brought all of their previous winning cars onto the stage and had it sort of like, again, showcase the history of McLaren. That's the good thing about this sport, is that we have quite a few teams that have been successful in the past and have always been ever prominent throughout Formula 1. McLaren is certainly one of those, and they want to show everyone to it, especially after coming off the back of a Constructors' Championship. They wanted to show all their other championship winning cars. Now, they didn't always win Constructors when they won Drivers, but but they're still championship-winning cars, showing off Fittipaldi's car, Senna's car. We had Häkkinen's, Hamilton's, and then, of course, the 2025 car that they then revealed. Was a bit strange to me that it was Zach Brown and Andrea Stella that was revealing the car and not the drivers, because usually we always see the drivers rather than the team principals and CEO doing it themselves. So it was a little bit weird. Maybe the drivers hadn't got into their overalls yet, because as I say, they were all sat on the table and they basically, I guess, got a tap on the shoulder, be like, right, okay, it's your time. You need to get here and get changed at this time. Maybe they got stopped on the way, had a chat with someone. It's like, you need to get a move on. I can imagine that with Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, that they just kind of get sidetracked and start chatting to somebody else. And yeah, then they've lost track of time and they were late. So maybe that's what happened. It just seemed a little bit weird to me. Livery, let's have a little look at this now. So this is the Challenger for, have I got a better view of the car? Let's do this one. This is a sort of better view of the car. There wasn't too many like really great pictures that I could use, but you know, you still see the car at the end of the day. Exactly the same livery. We've got the MasterCard logos on the front. Bit plain in terms of sponsorship on the nose, especially for McLaren, who usually have loads of sponsors. For me, massively disappointed. Not because of bad livery. Not because of bad livery, but because of this. Hang on, I need to get a picture of Singapore, I think it was. This is... like, when you see this car, this is what you want the car to be, all right? Let's just save this image quickly. All right. Yeah. Okay, I think that's saved properly, or has it? No, that's not the right file. Can I save it as a JPEG, please? Yeah, that's the one I want. Right, okay, let's bring this back. For me, yeah, it's exactly the same. And they said, you know, we were champions last year. We're not going to change it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And look, I'll be honest, it's not a bad livery. It's a good livery. McLaren have done a really good job with the livery. But, okay, when you have a livery like this, this is what McLaren should be. If there wasn't this whole fiasco about saving weight with paint, this is what it should look like. The white complementing the papaya. And it looks so good. They ran this for Singapore last season. I guess just showing off, because I think it was quite funny actually at the time, because I believe we had Red Bull. They were going to have a special livery, and then they said they couldn't do it. But it's also very similar to... so I'm a big fan of IndyCar. Been getting into it in the last few years. And my favourite livery of the whole entire IndyCar grid, and this car just looks so, so sexy. No, not another web file. Can I have a proper picture of the car, please? Can you give me a proper picture of the car? Where's the car? This one? Is this going to be a JPEG? Okay, this is a JPEG. So, proper livery of the car. Here we go. Oh, that's tiny. But you get what I mean. Like, this is a sexy livery. Like, the white and the papaya. So, for me, this is what I wanted McLaren to be, is this. And I hope that we do see this again this season coming. If they have a bit of a dominant period, maybe they'll put the paint on. Obviously, it could be a bit more white here on the front, but regardless, this would have been top tier. This would have been... wouldn't be the V-Carb. I don't think it would have been the V-Carb, because V-Carb's amazing, but this would have been my second best if they'd have done this. And this is what I was hoping for. Instead, we got this. It's not a bad livery. I'm not hating on it. It's not a bad livery. It's still good. It works. But could it be better? Yes. Is there still a bit of weight saving going on? Potentially. Who knows? What are your opinions, though, on the last car on the grid? I want to know your ratings on here as well. But yeah, I just wish it was that other one for me. 7. We got a 6 from Fem. Why McLaren is better than V-Carb? Interesting. I do love the V-Carb. I'm sorry. The little details of the racing balls just want it for me. Phantoms a 6. Hoodie Pete says 6 as well. Right. Well, those are our liveries. We're going to have a livery tier list. I will get one of those going later on. Probably after testing. Testing's going to be next week. So we're going to have that. Before we go anywhere, though, just some final thoughts on the event. Personally, for me, F1 75 Live was an absolute huge success. I had no expectations going in. I did think that, though, it could be slightly cringy and would be a bit of a disappointment and maybe a little bit too over the top or too corporate. Instead, I think it absolutely hit the nail on the mark. It was entertaining. As I said earlier, it was like the Grammys but for Formula 1. There was little moments of roasting Formula 1 drivers, and I thought it was all in all incredibly enjoyable. And for me, now I'm hyped. I've watched that and now I'm hyped for the F1 season to start, and I think that was great. 4 improvements for next season if they do it, and I really hope they do it again. I think this is the way to go, because this is much better, giving all the teams 7 minutes to do whatever they want and try and put on a show, than Haas just going, here's the render of our car and it's job done. No, I want to see that, and I also don't want to see 30 minutes of corporate talk between the CEOs of Formula 1 for conversations that I do not care about, where they're just talking about sponsors that they're really happy to be a part of the team. And then they go, oh, here's our livery. And then that's the end of it. No, this was about the liveries. It was about the spectacles. And I think it's what the fans want to see. And if you're one of those old school Formula 1 fans that say, do you know what? But I want to see the cars. Some teams are still doing that. Williams did their shakedown. McLaren did their shakedown. Mercedes are still going to reveal their car. They're still going to reveal their challenger. Like, we're still going to get to see the cars. This isn't the car reveal. This is just the livery, and we're still going to get that. So we're not missing out on it. This is just extra. F1 Eurovision must stay. For me, 100% agree. F1 76 Live needs to be there next season. Better artists, I think. Some of the teams need to bring it more. Alpine, I'm looking at you. Don't just hire a DJ to do your 7 minutes for you, okay? Put some effort into it next time. And for me, it was a huge success. And that is where I'm going to leave it. I think I'm in the majority. I think there was a few people that didn't like it, but I think I'm in the majority of most people liking it. I think there are some people who don't like change, who don't like it being different. And if you're calling something cringy, you are cringe yourself. Okay? I am cringe, so I'm allowed to say it. But that's going to end off where we're talking today. I hope you've enjoyed this stream. Any suggestions over in the Discord? We have a suggestions channel as well. And I'd really appreciate it if you guys could use it for this stream and just let me know your opinions on the stream and how you would like it to improve. I want to improve it. I want to do this once a week. It's going to also be turned into a podcast. So we're going to have content from this as well. So I would just like anything that you guys can help me improve this, or things that you think that we should include or not include, ways to make it better. Please let me know in the suggestions in Discord. If you're not already in the Discord, !Discord. Make sure you follow the channel to make sure that you get more of this content in the future. And I will see you later on in the week. It's going to be a really busy week for me, unfortunately, in terms of streams. So I don't actually think I'm going to get the chance to stream until Sunday. I believe we're doing an iRacing event on Sunday at Le Mans. I'm hopefully going to be doing Creator Series, but I just don't know. It's going to be the Pokemon European Championships this weekend at the XL in London, so I'm very fortunate that I'm going to be going along to that. If you don't know, I've recently branched out into Pokemon content as well, opening packs. So I'm really excited for the weekend. Me and Fem are going to be over there, and so we're there Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We might be back in time for Creator Series, but I'm not making any promises. But Sunday, I will be doing a stint at Le Mans with the boys. So yeah, you will see me again definitely on Sunday, but for now I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you all for tuning in. As I say, make sure you leave your suggestions over in the Discord on how to improve this, and yeah, have a good rest of your evening.